many know that God is your strength? That whenever you're feeling weak, whenever you're feeling tired, whenever you just need a little pick me up, He's going to do it every single time. If you just trust Him, you will. So, you are my strength, strength like no other, strength like no other. It reaches to me. You are my strength. Oh, strength like no other. Strength like no other. And it reaches to me. To see the fullness of your grace. In the power of your name, you lift me up. You lift me up. In the fullness of your grace. And in the power of your name, you lift me up. You lift me up. You are my strength. Strength like no other. Strength like no other. I'm so glad that it reaches to me. You are my strength. You are my strength. You must be like no other. You must be like no other. And I'm glad, so very glad that it reaches to me. Oh God, in the fullness of your grace. In the fullness of your grace. In the power of your grace. I can feel you when I need you lift me up. Hey, you lift me up. You lift me up. In the fullness of your grace. In the fullness. In this hour, in the name of Jesus, I know that you lift me up. You lift me up. You lift me, you lift me, you lift me up. Oh, you are my peace. You are my peace. When I'm weary, oh Jesus, I know that you'll pull me out. I know that you'll meet me right where I am. You give me everything that I need, and I know that it reaches. You're gonna reach around to me. You are my peace. You are my peace. Peace now. You're my peace like water. Then you can keep me in peace like no one. You are my God. Your peace like no other. Your peace like no other. Oh, your peace like no other. And we thank you, God, because we know that it reaches. And it reaches to hallelujah. Come on, let's give the Lord another hand clap for praise. Yes, praise. Appreciate you so much for the manner in which you have ushered us into the presence of the Lord. And again, we thank God for the word that has already been shared by our own Elder Longstaff. Come on, let's give it a good piece. Yeah. That was excellent. Yes, it was. I asked the elders and ministers when we finished to come and grab a seat by me for a few seconds just so we can check. And man, I was blessed. I was blessed. So blessed that the part two of that, elder, that you said you're going to have, yeah, we're going to work it out whereby we'll let you do the part two in this session. All right? I'll let you teach it to the body at large, because that's some good stuff. Come on, let's praise God again for all of our brothers and ministers. As a matter of fact, I shared with them, I dropped it in our group chat today, and I'll give this to you too so that you guys can have it. Just put a little pressure on when you're preaching. But it's good pressure, good pressure, good pressure. Here are some key components that you should always listen for whenever anybody is preaching. I dropped it in our chat for our elders and ministers today so that they can be mindful of it when they are constructing their message. And it is this: is the sermon true to biblical text? That's number one. Is the sermon clear? Is the sermon cluttered with religious cliches which distract rather than add to the message? You know, religious cliches in the academic world of preaching, we often refer to it as cheerleading preaching. You've got a whole bunch of cliches you just keep turn around 3 times, jump up and down, and stuff like that. No real substance to the message, just a bunch of cliches. That's not good preaching. Do the illustrations, main points flow logically? Are the transitions clear? Those of you who are writers, you know that whenever you're writing anything, you have to be able to clearly transition from one point to the other. If your transitions aren't clear, they aren't strong, then your whole argument, it just falls to pieces real quickly. So you have to listen for that in preaching as well. Number 6, what good features can you point out about the sermon and the messaging? How can the sermon be improved? 8, does the sermon manifest the grace of God, or is it too heavy on the law with words like you must and you should? When preaching is cluttered with a whole lot of you must, you should, it takes on the nature of preaching at people. And it comes across as stone throwing, if you will. Messages that are just full of laws and no accompanying of grace. It's just not a good balance of presentation of preaching. And 9, can the theme of the sermon be summed up in a single sentence? That has to be something you have to keep in mind. And applicability, did the speaker present a how-to? And of course, I believe to quote and got him correctly, he said, information without application
leads to foolishness. Was that your quote? Yeah. Yeah. So the application of whatever is preached certainly must be presented. All right. So those are 10 key elements as I'm listening to our elders and ministers. I'm always looking for those 10 key things. That's something that you guys should be listening for too, because as I look over the room, all of y'all are theologians. Look at all these theologians in here tonight. Even when you're listening to me preach on Sunday, I'm perfectly fine if you keep these 10 elements in mind and listen for them. Okay? Matter of fact, if you listen to Bishop Morton over the years and just the mechanics of his preaching, the presentation of it, the exposition of it, you'll see, you would have heard all 10 of these components all the time. Well, again, good evening to you guys. It's good to see you in the Lord's house. I saw some people here last week that looked just like you. And you look even better this week than you did on last week. To our virtual audience, I'm so glad to have you tuned in with us tonight. I'm so blessed and impressed as to the viewership that we've enjoyed even for our midweek Bible study. Come on, those of you who are present, let's thank God for our virtual audience because they are a big part. They are a big part of what we do, and I praise God for all of them. To Elder Cleary, bless you, man of God. Appreciate you so much. Deacon Johnson, who's just assumed dual membership. We met 100 years ago here at New Beginning. He and Mel, they've been up there with this activity for the past 12 years. And I'm just waiting for one of these Sundays for him to say, now, Pastor, I did the activity this morning. I can't do New Beginning this afternoon. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we just going to ride this bus till the wheels fall off, all right? Deacon Johnson, I appreciate you so much. And to Elder Marshall, someone who I was blessed to start mentoring, actually when I was a youth pastor here at New Beginning. And he's been hanging out with us for years now. So glad to have you guys, and I appreciate you all so much. Before we dive into our book this evening, and we're going to take some time to look at chapter 2. Happy birthday, God. Happy grandson. Yeah. Well, I forgot. Yeah, look at 28, bro. Yeah, 27, not bad. Happy birthday to you. I want us, before we jump into chapter 2, I want us to do something that we've been doing the past couple of weeks. I have someone come up and tell us a little bit about someone you met, because we've been quite strategic in terms of how well we know each other, and certainly how well we greet and receive visitors. That's very important. As a matter of fact, I think 3 weeks ago, there was a key word that we started talking about, and we said that this word, this key word, is very important as it relates to the health and the sustainability of any church. And that key word is what? Relationships. Relationships matter. And you can't establish a relationship if you don't take the time to get to know someone. So I'm going to have someone volunteer to come up and introduce someone that you've met within the last couple of weeks here in this setting. But before you come up, why don't I take a stab at it? I'll never ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. This evening, as I came in a few minutes earlier, when we started, I met Sister Rosa Fathay. Where is Rosa? Rosa is sitting right there. Stand up, Rosa, wave your hand. Come on, New Beginning. Let's praise God for Sister Rosa Fathay. I'm just kind of pulling from my mental hard drive. Whatever I get wrong, I'll let you come up and correct me, all right? Sister Rosa, she joined about 7 weeks ago. She joined while we were preaching the Small Winds series. She lived in Atlanta for quite a few years, I believe 19 years. Yeah. Then she moved to Spartanburg, South Carolina, to take care of her mother. When she said Spartanburg, like I would have no idea where Spartanburg was no more. I was like, Spartanburg, I said, I went to Lamb University, which is right across the river, if you will, in Greenwood. She was there for 17 years, took care of her mother. I think she said her sister passed first, and but her mother recently transitioned. She's moved back to Atlanta. While in South Carolina, you worked a little bit at Wofford College, am I right? 17 years she worked at Wofford College, and we are so blessed and thrilled to have her as a new member here at the New Beginning Full Gospel Baptist Church. Amen. As a matter of fact, you sit beside Sister Phyllis. Has Phyllis already introduced herself to you yet? I keep why I keep wanting, Phyllis is your middle name, isn't it? I've been calling Gail Phyllis since because I've been mentally doing that for years. I said, forgive me, Gail. I'm going to get it right by next week. Gail Perkins, who I know also. That's Sister Gail. Wonderful, wonderful. Gail, we're going to watch out for you, all right? Once, you're already on the job. But come on up if I'm not embarrassed. If it's too much, you just say, Pastor, it's too much. But you want to come up and tell us a little bit more about yourself? Or you rather wait for it later? I covered it all. I did a good job. What did I get wrong? I missed something. I got it wrong. Come on again. Let's thank God for Sister Rosa. So happy to have you. Real to have you. And as time progresses, I'm sure we'll get to know you even more. Who met someone really cool over the last couple of weeks? And you want to come on, son? Where's that other mic? Well, grab that one, son. Tell us who you met. Tell us a little bit about it.
Good evening, Daddy. Thank you so much. I made a watermelon man. Mr. Mike, man his wife, and he gave a story about the watermelon. He said, watermelon came out, and it was usually at yellow meat. And we got over here, and changed it to red meat. So I met him, and I met this Deacon Usher.
Okay.
She's been working, and we figured this and she has me.
Yes, that's right. Matter of fact, Deacon Usher and I got hired at the church at the same time. Yeah, that was 2003. Yeah, 2003. Cool. All right, let's get Sonny big hand. Sonny, tell us your last name. True. How many of you guys know Sonny? All right. Okay. Cool. All right. When she mentioned Mike Denard, how many of you do not know the name Mike Denard? Everybody who knows who Mike Denard? You saw his picture in the post office? Mike's a cool guy. Me and Mike, I had a fishing story. I won't tell it today, Mike. I won't tell it today. Years ago, me and Mike went fishing. Had a blast. I think it was a Saturday morning we went fishing. Yeah. And he'll explain to you yellow meat versus red meat. Because sometimes when we talk in terms of watermelon, everybody don't necessarily call it meat. But being a South Carolinian, I know what that is. But bless you, son. Great job. All right. Let's do this. I'm sorry, I flipped over. Look at the notes. Here's where we're going with this. Let's do this before we jump into the book. Good to see Elder Jeffrey Lofton. How many of you guys know Elder Lofton? Raise your hand, Elder Lofton. Elder Lofton has led our college ministry at Timothy for how many years now, Jeffrey? 6, I want to say, yeah. And he came to us as, did you come to us our sophomore or junior year at Your senior year. Yeah, and we've been taking care of him ever since. But Elder Lofton is quite a blessing to the body of Christ. He's been a blessing to our college ministry. Lives in Atlanta, been here ever since you graduated, am I right? but has probably spent as much time up at Timothy as I do. Just working in the ministry. I think went through 3 cars since he graduated, coming back and forth. But seemingly it's finding a home here at New Beginning, because it's just right around the corner from his house. Amen. But let's thank God for him. It's good to have him here. As we've been working through the book, and Elder Dyke, of course, mentioned it in his message, I'm sure a lot of this prayerfully has been really resonated with you. And I tried to set the stage early on in that, oftentimes, well, here's what I said to set the stage. We know that New Beginning is a great church. All right. That's a no. All right. However, just because you're great does not mean that you can't become better. Right? And so, a lot of what we've engaged in this book, if you read it and you're sensitive about certain things, you'll get offended real quick. But that's not, as we engage in this curriculum, if you feel, actually, you know what? I think oftentimes we confuse being offended with being convicted. Yeah. Some of you up there by yourself? Who's up there with you? Jason. Yeah, Jason, some of y'all come on down. Yeah, if we working good with the mic, y'all come on down and sit with us. We keep you guys stuck up in the sky all the time. Yeah, y'all come on down here with us. But yeah, I think oftentimes we confuse being offended with being convicted. All right? And prayerfully, even by me just saying that, we'll walk away from tonight's Bible study being able to distinguish which one is which. Yeah. And not being offended when we are convicted. How many of us have ever been guilty of getting offended when we should have just been convicted? Yeah. Matter of fact, you probably told some people off. Yeah. How many of y'all still cuss a little bit? Put your hand back. Somebody just put both of their hands up. I can look at you. I can look at folk in their eyes. I say, oh yeah, they cuss a little bit. I know. You got that look in your eye. Amen. Look at your neighbor and tell them, I ain't no killer, but don't push me. Don't push me. All right, here is what I want you to do. This is a safe place. This is a safe place, all right? We come in, we can be safe. Amen. If you don't feel like you're in a safe place where you can be honest, even about your own shortcomings, you'll never be healed. Yeah, you'll never be healed unless you're able to be honest with yourself. But here is what I want you to do before the week is out. It's kind of hard, a little tough, but you're going to do it. Matter of fact, I may even give you some space and time next week to talk about it. And it may have even happened recently. If you got offended when you should have been convicted and said the wrong thing to that person, by the end of this week, I want you to go make peace with them. Right? Just say, hey, you know what? I took what you were saying, I misinterpreted, and now that I've had time to pray about it, so you did that today? Who's that? Wow. I'm gonna give you some time to talk about it next week, all right? But yeah, for the remainder of us, before the week is out, I want you to do that. Because that shows incredible strength. It shows that you have a sense of equity. Yeah. Well, I would make the two synonymous. But when I say equity, what I'm like, if you have equity in your home, that means the value is greater than the payoff. All right. So when you have a sense of equity in your spirit, you don't feel cheated or you don't feel devalued when you have to give something away. And oftentimes people don't apologize because they don't have that much equity. They feel like if I apologize, I've lost something. Yeah. But when you operate from a place of equity, you know that me giving this away, it will not bring down the value of who I am at all. As a matter of fact, it's going to increase my value. Yeah. That's a lot of times when that day you stepped out, you know you were looking good, you had it all together, thinking back. I mean, that suit was tight, your shoes were polished, and he's like, man, brother just walked by me today, he ain't say nothing about how sharp my shoes were, and I'm just picking on Deacon Mac because he got equity, he can handle it, right? But oftentimes, anyone who does not have a sense of equity, they are very reluctant to pay you a compliment. Because they feel as if I pay you a compliment, I've given something to you that I may need. And so now I've lost value. And I can't add value to you because if I add value to you, it decreases my value. All right? You tell somebody you gotta have some equity. You gotta have some equity. So when you have equity, I can say, man, Marshall, I like them kicks, man. Them kicks are fire, boy. Hey, if I come across them, they get me a pair. I like what you're doing, man. That don't take nothing from me. All right. Do you love the person you sit beside? All right. Look them in the eye. Look them in the eyes. Now you gotta get some Decatur gangster in your voice. Look at them and ask them, do you have equity? Do you have equity? Gotta have some equity. Gotta have some equity. Yeah. Equity means I can sow it into you and I don't feel no sense of loss. I can give it away. Matter of fact, don't try to steal it from me. Why are you gonna steal it from me when I'm willing to give it to you? Yeah, I shared with you guys, I think it was in our first maybe Q&A session, that I never asked Bishop Moore for anything that he didn't give me. Now I ain't asking for new beginnings. He brought that up. But yeah, so and as the years progress, I'll tell you how I got a revelation of equity by serving under his ministry. Yeah, because we all grow and we get so much. You get so much when you're serving somewhere or under someone who has a great sense of equity. Like you don't have to steal it. I give it to you freely. And guess what? When I give it away, I ain't gonna lose nothing because, man, this ain't even Bible study tonight. Y'all got me someplace else. Y'all got me way off my subject. Yeah. Margaret put that in my spirit. We talking about equity. We ain't talking about no equity. All right. Let's get back on what we supposed. Maybe almost time for us to go. I know we left. But perhaps at some point in time, we'll do a whole series. I don't know if I'll preach it, but if I don't preach it, we'll do the Bible study talking about equity and how, Joyce will tell you, Dean Carmichael, I'm sorry. She talks equity all the time in her world. She's a real estate agent. But I would argue, my argument is that equity is more of a biblical term than it is a real estate term. But we'll talk about that, all right? All right. So here is how I end when Margaret took me down It's drove me. Here is the thought that sparked this. Because again, as we work our way through the book, and as we have been working our way through the book, we're not being offended by what's coming at us, all right? Gerard, right? Did I mess it up? Gerard from Baltimore. If I can get your first name, I'll just call you Baltimore. But, I didn't forget your question last week. I'm gonna talk with you a little bit more offline about it, all right? But I think some of what we talked about last week kind of maybe rubbed you the wrong way a little bit. We're not going to let the curriculum offend us, because we have equity, and when you have equity, you're not easily offended. But not to say that you don't have equity, Gerard, but we'll talk some more, right? So, with all that we have encountered thus far as we worked our way through the curriculum, what is one truth that we've read or that you discussed in your group that is like really resonating with you? That even throughout the course of the week, it's like, man, I can't. Thom Rainer said this in the book, and it just keeps turning over in the spirit. What is it, Kim Guy? Come on, Kim, you get ready to ask Lawrence. What was it we were talking about at dinner the other night, Lawrence? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is there a particular thought that has been really resonating with you? Let's get you the mic, because you get ready to say something that's wonderful. I know we got the one right here. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Doc, you can't be getting the mic on your birthday. We got Doc working on her birthday. All right. Sister Guy, keep going.
One of the things that this study has made me mindful of and more intentional is making sure that I greet people that sit around me.
Okay.
Jeff, and I'm ashamed to say, Jeff has been here since we came back.
Came back from COVID?
COVID.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And he sit 3 or 4 rows in one section, right. And I didn't know his name. I just introduced myself to Jeff since this study. And it's many other people that, sit around, you don't know their names. So I'm way more intentional now about, making sure that I greet the people or finding out who they are that sits in my section.
Gotcha. All right. Well, and actually you did the part 2, because here's what I was going to ask. Share with us a truth that you learned, which you did, and from there, tell us what are you now going to do differently. And you did both. I believe that's Elder Cheryl. I see you there. Go ahead, Elder Cheryl.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Kim said it for me to be being intentional. This case is where I have intentionally, tonight I don't see it, but I have intentionally made it a point to speak to her. And not only did I have been doing that, but as we were leaving church on Sunday, she was standing over here, I guess waiting on D square. And my mother and I walked by, and I stopped, and I introduced my mom to her. And I reminded my mom who Steve was, and she remembered him, and I introduced him, and she turned and she looked at me, and she said, "Thank you for introducing us to me." So I'm being intentional.
Right.
So much so that I'm going to join the Earth Meeting.
How about that? Look at you. Intentionality is, matter of fact, that was one of our key words in Sunday's message. I like the way you're bringing that back up. And it was such a blessing that night when you shared in Bible study how you said, I spoke to Deacon Swearingen, but didn't speak to his wife. And he was watching online, and he dropped in the chat, I'm listening, Cheryl, which was super cool. How many of you were here that night when Elder Cheryl shared that whole scenario? And it's crazy because I'm gonna tell you how those conversations go once couples get in the car. Because everybody had on their Jesus smile. She spoke to Deacon Swearingen. She didn't speak to his wife. You know, she just kept smiling. But when she got in the car, she said, Steve, who's that heifer that spoke to you? I didn't cuss. Is that a cuss word here? I didn't cuss word. I did not cuss. Who's that heifer that spoke to you and didn't speak? She looked right in my mouth and didn't say a word. Sister Swearingen, I'm just putting words in your mouth. You didn't say that. You did not say that. But now, that's how the conversations go. Ask me how would I know that? Ask me how I know. Oh, she's just speaking to you. I'm standing right there. And you say, oh, well. My wife's sweet. But she's crazy. I'm telling y'all about she's crazy. I've been married to her for 25 years too, guys. And I'm like, girl, you just crazy. You were. And I didn't realize she was crazy until about 3 weeks into the marriage. I said, you know what? You're crazy. But then I said, you know what? I must be crazy too, because I'm attracted to her, you know. Yeah. Marsha. I like a woman that's got a little craziness. See, y'all got me going down left field again. Yeah, I like the challenge. All right. We're gonna stay on point for the rest of the night. I promise. I can have a. But you're right. If she's watching tonight, she's gonna have a word. Anybody else? Something? Yes. Gail. Gail Perkins. That's that.
Lois is Stephen John Marvin's mother-in-law. And I have been around here forever. And I sat in the car with her daughter, and she didn't know her name. And now I'm intentional on Sunday. Hey, Lois! Yes. She's in the parking lot. Bye, Lois. Have a good week. And she says the same to me. So I thank God for that, because I got to know somebody that I've been around for all this time. And now I see how my husband feels. My husband works at the business, so he would be. But they all call my husband Gail's husband. And he's like, don't know her name. But he spoke here one Sunday, and Bishop was so surprised. He doesn't speak much, but when he opens his mouth, he speaks loud. So now I know how people feel. So that's his wife right there, instead of saying the name. So getting to know, I don't hang around the church. I was raised that way. Get what you got to get going out the door. That's how I am, because I don't want to get involved in everybody's conversations. So while I'm in here, I'm going to speak. I'm going to smile. So that's it.
Wow. Now, Lois, she's been around since Thankful Days.
And that's what
Wow.
No, she hasn't.
She has.
She has not.
Okay.
She was not.
But she's been a member
She's
here for
been
a very long
here for
time.
a long time.
Now, when Lois speaks to you, does she call you Gail or does she call you
She
Phyllis?
knows my name. Well, she knows my name because I've been fine. You know, I've been fine. But yeah, she knows my name.
I got you. I'm just messing with you, Phyllis. Thank you. Let's do a little bit of reading. Let's read a little bit, and then we're going to. And I pray, with the reading, please, it's not that I'm insulting your intelligence, all right? I know we can all read. It's something, though, about when we engage like this, when you read it by yourself, it certainly resonates. But when you read it out loud in an atmosphere like this, it kind of takes on a different life, if you will. So I'm not trying to insult you with the reading, and perhaps as we work through the remainder of the book, maybe I won't have you read every single section word for word. But I do want us to get kicked off a little bit with chapter 2. And First Lady just texted me and said, I hear you. I just looked at my phone. I told y'all she crazy. Baby, I'm gonna make it right. I'm gonna make it right. I'm gonna make it right before I get out of here. God said you're gonna be in trouble by the time you get home. Just popped up on my phone. I hear you. Yay. Woo. But you take some flowers home. Yeah, I'm gonna go. All right, let's start at page 17 and let's see if we can make our way over to perhaps page 22. Um, Xavier, you want to read a little bit for us, man? No? Xavier, I was just about to introduce you to a new member. Went to Morehouse? No, you went to ITC. Yeah, your dad's a pastor. Yeah, I got it. I got it. All right, but I'm not going to embarrass you. I mean, you say you don't want to read right now, so that's cool. That's cool. Anybody will have a volunteer who wants to read a little bit? All right, Deacon Carmichael. So, Deacon Mingo, you got to run the mic all the way back there. You got okay. Thank you, Kim.
I got in trouble not too long ago. I wrote a blog post.
Speak a little louder.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. There you go.
Okay. Chapter 2, confidential report for your eyes only. I got in trouble not too long ago. I wrote a blog post at thomrainer.com on the well-worn Stand and Greet, timed in many churches across the globe. Some have other names like passing the peace, but the essence of the tradition is the same. It is a time when church members are supposed to greet guests and each other's in worship service. Okay, I'm not a big fan of the stand and greet. My bias are evident when I write about it. It's probably a factor of my introversion. So when I write about this practice, my biases are not well hidden. But I made a lot of church members mad. I made some of them really mad. They loved their stand and greet time. They did not like my opinion one bit, and they let me know it. So I conducted a survey of both members and guests about the issue. I will let you know what I learned later in this chapter. For now, I want you to join me as I share the results of our survey to church guests on a wide variety of issues. For you statistical nerds, my surveys are done on social media, so the sampling was not precise. But because of the huge number of responses I got, I'm convinced the information was invaluable. Here is the essence of what I found. We church members are often clueless about what our guests are thinking and experiencing. We think we know because we know how we feel and think. But the perspectives of church members and guests are often vastly different. So let me share some of the surprises I learned from my foray into the world of church guests. Frankly, after I read their responses and rationale, I was surprised, and I was even surprised.
All right, listen to what we're about to hear. You're doing good. Can you come right through? You want to keep reading, or you want someone else? Okay, go ahead.
The worst part of the guest experience takes place right behind the worship service.
Right before
Right before the worship service begins. Most of you have been a guest at a church, so let's replay the likely journey of visiting a church together. Keep in mind, this journey is especially important if you are looking at this church as a possible new church home. Joining us on this journey are Kathy and Jim. They will be our guides because they are the ones who actually helped me visualize the issue not too long ago. Kathy and Jim really need a good guest experience. They had a lot of frustrations getting their 3 kids, all under the age of 8, ready for church. To exacerbate this tension, neither Kathy nor Jim had been in church for a decade. They did not know what to expect. Fortunately, the church they were visiting had its act together, mostly. You will understand my caveat in just a few paragraphs. They have a great website, Kathy told me. I was able to learn a lot about the church. I got the kids registered online, so I didn't have to worry about the paperwork when I got to the church. Really, everything we needed to know was on their website. Jim added, getting to the church from the street and in the parking lot was a breeze. The church had great signage everywhere. We were able to find the parking spots for guests in no time. I think the people were genuinely friendly, Kathy added. They had real smiles on their faces. They greeted us warmly in the parking lot and when we entered the building. And folks were really helpful getting our kids to their areas. Kathy paused, then added, we really had an overall good experience. But there was one part that just was not good. It was the 9 to 10 minutes after we sat down in the worship service and before the service started. No one spoke to us. No one sat by us. No one even acknowledged us. It was really uncomfortable until the service began. That, in essence, is one of the surprises we heard from the guests. Even in incredible churches, very few members make the effort to greet and speak to someone already seated before the service begins. And frankly, most church members don't even go sit with guests. Guests are most often overlooked in a few minutes right before their worship services. No one speaks to them or sits with them.
Amen. All right. Let's pause right there. Thank you, Deacon Carmichael. So, we see kind of a different scenario here. Website's good, guest parking is good, but once the people get inside, no one greets them. As a matter of fact, if you read on over, it's either on page 21 or page 22, and here is where I had to massage my feelings a bit. Here's where, because the author kind of stepped on my toes in that, as a pastor, I've always enjoyed what we call passing the peace. I look forward to it, and when COVID hit, even as we made plans to come back in, I was like, man, we can't do pass the peace no more. Because to me, it was a very important part of the service. I love watching everybody move around, chat for a few minutes, show love. I was like, man, ain't nothing better. This is what it is right here. This is good stuff. But what the author shares here is that church people love passing the peace. It ain't that big on it's not that high of a priority for guests. I'm like, what you talking about, Thom Rainer? Come on now. Everybody loves passing the peace. And as I read a little bit further, I know some of you guys have probably already read the whole book, which is cool. But he really pointed out how people who are visiting don't necessarily feel the same way about passing the peace as members do. Now, some of y'all nod your head like, yeah, you're telling the truth. Come on, what you think about that, Sister Mac? Because help me, grab the mic. Did you get ready to say something correct? Let me get you the mic. Let's get you the mic. Because I thought everybody loved passing the peace, man.
Like, our daughter grew up here, and she's probably not listening to us, but she's a little younger than we are. But she's younger than we are. But she was just saying she doesn't even like the turning
Tell your neighbor.
Turning to your neighbor. I told you that. She doesn't like that piece. She just liked to get the word. She was just asking her just the other day, what time does preaching start? I mean, that's true. I mean, she's in her 30s. She just, what time will Pastor Gold start his sermon? I said about 12:30 to 12:45. So she said, I make comment because she listened to online, the gentleman from Chicago. Y'all probably know him. But she doesn't really like that.
Sure.
I'm not
Shaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reginald Shaw.
Yeah, I know Shaw. What's up, Shaw? You probably listening.
Reginald Shaw. But she says that often to us. That just doesn't flow with me. You know, turn and tell your neighbor this. Turn and tell your neighbor this. Stand up and do this. Stand up and say that. That's what we like as older adults, but we have to be mindful that younger adults or younger people, they don't necessarily flow the way we flow. So we may have to start flowing differently.
Okay. Go ahead and drop the mic there. All right. All right. Hey, food for thought. I think I saw another hand go up in the back. Did I see someone else? Yes. Well, Sonya's saying something good right here. Yeah, here. Go ahead.
Yes, they don't know us, and they don't necessarily want to turn and know us. They don't know us. You know, we know each other, so yeah, we don't love each other, but they don't know you from me. So
Wow.
it's not a big thing for me.
So when you gone, not necessarily just you, son, but any of you guys, when you gone to another church and they did pass the peace, did you not feel a sense of being welcome, or you was kind of like, I wish they wouldn't do all of this? Gail, go ahead.
Visited larger churches,
Yeah.
and I visited smaller churches. And I find it's the smaller churches. When you walk in that door, there's somebody there when you sit down, how you doing? Where you from? To talk to me. That's in the smaller churches.
Right.
And then every churches I've been to, I haven't had that.
But I'm talking about passing the peace right now.
That's asking peace to me. But, I mean, people doing, when they greet the visitors, somebody comes to you. Or even just sitting there, when I'm sitting there by myself, somebody comes up and speaks to me. Or when they do the welcoming, you have somebody just to come hug you.
Right. But that whole walking around the church, and that ain't no big deal for you, huh?
And Mary, I go on to the door. Mary, I go on to the door. I don't like saying your name.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm only gonna say it 7 times. I moved from 10 to. I think Bishop did it better than anybody. It's like when he would tell you to turn it, he just had a different flow.
I'm proud, but most times I just say.
Matter of fact, I've tried to change the vernacular, if you know this. I don't say turn to your neighbor. I said find somebody on your road that you love and say this. Yeah. I've changed up the vernacular for that very same reason. Well, no, I was doing it prior to this. But she did tell me that Timothy, when she came up, no, you told me that night, I believe. And I kind of joked with her about it. But I changed up my vernacular for that very same reason. But now, I get it though, I get it. Because sometimes I get the feel that when the preacher may be preaching, he's doing it as a filler. And it's not, yeah. I'm like, man, dude, come on. I done told him 85 times, Just give me your manuscript and let me just read it off. So when it comes across as a filler, it don't work. But it can be a wonderful teaching technique in that repetition deepens the imprint. So if I say it and I ask you to say it 2 more times, 3 more times, it deepens the imprint. So it can be a good teaching tool. But at the same time, we can wear it out. And that's the point right there. Yeah. Deacon Black had his head up. Mary said, no, don't you embarrass me in here. Go ahead. If you don't do right, Mary, we ain't gonna let you talk no more for a month. Go ahead. And then I think someone in the back had their hand up. Yes, go ahead.
What I want to say is this. I just actually think most Baptist preachers.
Now we still talking about passing the peace now. All right. Well, that's we gotta love Deacon Mac. Y'all gonna have me paranoid come Sunday, yeah. But your point is valid. Your point is valid in that we can wear it out. And I don't know who, actually, the first person I remember doing it was, he's a motivational speaker. Les Brown. Les Brown was the first person I remember doing that. And, you know, it just caught on. It can be a wonderful teaching technique, but when it becomes a filler, it falls flat. It falls flat. And two, sometimes they give the preacher an opportunity to catch his breath. Catch your breath and take a drink of water. You know, but they're different. Again, that's why I changed up the vernacular. Because Deacon Mac, I'm gonna tell you, put your Jesus smile on, man. I'm gonna say that about 4 times. And I'll be looking right at you. And I'm saying, we ain't going no further till Deacon Mac. Go ahead, Elder Daddy. Yes, sir. We still talking about Pastor Peace.
Right.
Yes.
I'm trying to bring it back.
Please, sir. Please, sir. Go ahead.
And that's the term I had never heard before until First Lady brought it up last week, and I was like, "Hey, what you say?" So anyway, even in my group last week, we brought up how much we used to, well, I did, because like I always say in the beginning of my first church experience, all that stuff, that I used to like when there's something good is going to happen.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of church. Yeah. And I thought it was fake. I was like, this is unbelievable. I never experienced it like that before, and I used to look forward to it. But whatever, quit doing it. And we really kind of do it now during the offering, because now everybody's like on the way to the bathroom. It's like intermission. Like we all like now we back with each other, we how you doing all that. So we do, and that's when you get to meet the people, get somebody new. So we kind of still do it during that time.
Gotcha. Good point. I guess what we can assess too, because, you know, I know Avery's personality a little bit. I know Avery's personality. She kind of made me a little bit more like her dad than she is a mom. But a lot of that too is personality driven in that. I don't want to be talking to everybody. I don't someone like passing the people. I don't really know you like that. And I'd be just fine, you know, just looking at your way. Some of that is driven by personality. Whereas so you take somebody like me, I want to talk to you. I want to hug you. I want to get to know you all that. And I understand that every personality is not just like mine. So some of it is just based upon our makeup. There's an incredible book. Jason, what's the title of that book I sent you a couple of weeks ago?
Personality types and religious leaders.
Yeah, personality types and religious leaders. Is it Oswald? Is that the author?
It is 1 second.
Give Jason the mic so he can tell us.
Roy Oswald.
Oswald. Man, I was introduced to that book, probably 18 years ago. Blessed me tremendously, but it talks about the different personalities of religious leaders. And to be quite frank, as a matter of fact, I shared this with Jason when we were sitting down talking. It helped me to understand Bishop better. Because I'm very methodical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like things in sequence. And I noticed, like, when I started working with Bishop may go 1, 7, 2, 3. I'm like, man, come on, Bishop. And then he looked at me and kind of laughed, you know. One day I tell y'all the story we were out in New Orleans. But sometimes he would do certain things to like push me out of my personality and say, man, look, boy, you gotta loosen up a bit. You gotta be a little freer with this thing. But as time progresses, I'll share it with you. But the book blessed me tremendously in that every religious leader, and this book specifically speaks to religious leaders, but it's across the board. How God uses different leaders who have different personalities for different reasons at different seasons. And as you progress through the book, the author says you have to allow your personality to evolve. Now, you are who you are at your core, but as you evolve and grow, you learn how to borrow traits from other personalities. And it makes you much more well-rounded as a leader. Personality types. Tell me the title again.
Personality type and religious leadership.
Personality types and religious leadership. Roy Oswald. Again, it's an old book, but it stays on my brain because it was a book that really blessed and helped me tremendously. And then after I read that book, I was like, okay, I got it now. And so, I wasn't so thrown off if Bishop went from 2 to 12, back to 6. I was like, okay, yeah, I got it. As a matter of fact, after a while, I learned this flow till I could tell that he was at 7. I said, okay, he about to go 15 in a second. Then he dropped back down. I said, oh yeah, he get ready to hit 4. After a while, I just learned his rhythm. Yeah. So you got to know all of us have different personalities, but God uses different personalities and religious leaders for different times, different seasons to reach different people. And that's God. Now we're about out of time. I'm not going to do you like we've done the last couple of weeks. We're about, I think somebody start flickering the lights and say, oh, y'all need to get up out of here. We get up, as a matter of fact, we're going to end a little early tonight. Here is what I want you to do real quick. If you have your phone or some other device, how many of you guys are on social media? Facebook, Instagram. Wait, yeah, there you go, wonderful. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to post to your Facebook, Instagram. Matter of fact, if you have the two sync, once you post that thing on, I know once I post stuff on Facebook, it just automatically go to Instagram. I want you to pull out one truth. Let's not call it a thing. Remember a few weeks ago, in one of our Bible studies, I talked about if you're writing, if you're a critical thinking system. Dr. Mazak, she has her doctorate. When you writing on that level, or any scholarly level, thing is a weak word. So you want to replace thing with a more concrete term. So let's call it a truth. I want you to extract one truth that you learned, and it can be a direct quote. Now don't make it a whole chapter now, just one quick sentence or something, all right? Because when you post stuff like that, matter of fact, when people put on their long post alert, I just roll right over it. I'm like, man, nobody got time to read your whole dissertation. But people read stuff that they can just, quickly get. So I just want you in a sentence or in a few words, I want you to capture a truth that you learned from the book and post it. And if you would, put the title of the book as well as the author. And if you would link the New Beginnings Facebook page to that post, you guys know how to do that at New Beginnings? It's going to pop up. And if you link me too, at Tracy Gold, and it's going to pull right up. Let's take the next 3 minutes. Let's do that real quick, all right? A truth that you learned, and post it on your social media page, all right? Remember, you're going to put the title of the book, the author, you're going to link New Beginning, as well as myself, if you do that. While y'all doing that, I'm going to think of something I can take home to my wife so I won't be in trouble. Snicker bar, you know what? That's all that does it. You learn too, though. Man, them Snicker bars have an anointing on them. I've been doing it for years. Matter of fact, I had it and actually talk about it. You guys look so studious. Hey. They had a good principle over it. I was learning, man. Pick it up. Pick it up. Mother Murphy, you good? I hear you. Yeah. We'll let the vet post yours for you. Yeah. My great aunt said, yeah, I see you on that book face all the time. Book that book face, please. You're right, we got 1 minute left before this. Brother, wait, good to see you, man. Yeah, check my hand before you get out of here. Congratulations to your daughter being a brother. James Ford Scholarship. We good? Everybody posted? This is going to help us gain even more traction, in the social media world, okay? And believe it or not, a lot of people, since we started studying this book, I've been getting a lot of feedback from pastors that have used this book at their church. It's like, man, folks, this is a wonderful tool. It's really going to bless your church. And as you guys have been talking about, I've seen people, when you purchased the book, you took a picture of it, posted it on social media, and man, it has created quite a buzz. Now, what's going to be so incredible is that 3-5 years from now, when we're having Bible study, we will still be referring back to this book. We've probably done about 4 or 5 other books by then, but we'll still be referring back to this book 5 years from now. And we will be able to measurably see how it has impacted the culture of our church. Okay? Everybody posted? Mary, that's you in the back. Good to see you, Mary. Okay. All right. Were you blessed on tonight? Yes. All right. Turn to your neighbor. Woo, y'all are blessed. Y'all are so blessed. Y'all are Something else. All right. Let's all stand. We're getting ready to go home. This has been impactful. Those of you who are watching virtually, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I trust and I pray that you were blessed. Meet us same place, same time next week as we continue with our study of Becoming a Welcoming Church by Thom. All right. Dr. Bernard, want to come and pray us out, sir, if you would? I didn't mean to interrupt the conversation. And you pray us out, and I'll let you finish up. You had to use my mic. Church, yes.
Let's start with a word of prayer. Divine Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Father, we thank you for this time. Continue to help us grow in love and understanding of the divine holy word. We thank you for all things, Father. But most of all, we thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. And we pray that in his name.
Amen. Bless you. All right, before you rush right out, please say hello. Say something to somebody. Kim Johnson, good to see you in the background. I'll holler at you before you get out of here, all right?